What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. I want to thank my sponsor, Steel Supplements. Link and discount code down in the description. You also know I mentioned in yesterday's video that I hoped the market recovered yesterday, and did it ever not recover yesterday? So if you're using my link, which I think at this point over 30 people have this month, to sign up for an account with Webull, it's in the pinned comment. I talk about it every single video. You're going to get some fractional shares, and in some cases, I've seen people get EA, yes, EA, Microsoft, Sony, Nike, stocks that are at or close to, in some cases, 1 year, 2 year lows. And you really, if you're going to hold these stocks, can see a very good return, but you have to sign up with the link to get it. And of course, if you deposit $1, they're going to give you even more free stock. Speaking of stock, let's talk about the stock, so to speak, of Axis Football, which I didn't spend a lot of time with last year, although the franchise mode has been very deep. The gameplay has lacked a lot, and I wanted to talk about this play in particular and go through a couple things that caught my eye when playing this game more this year already than the past year combined. And I want to also give some criticisms here, because to be fair, the pursuit angle of this safety, if it's not so close to the receiver, the tight end, whoever is over there, and it's just closer to the line, you don't ever have to bring up why these blocks aren't picked up. Secondarily, uniform reaction of defenders, offensive players, we talk about it all the time. You can't have this. At least give them a delay based on where they are on the field. However, I will say this tackle animation, going low, having the player kind of juke out, looks really nice. I've seen this sequence never in this game until right now. You have another linebacker come down, tries to tackle high, gets shrugged off, and I'm okay with this as long as I don't see it continuously. And also, you have consistency with this right here, the wrap-up tackle. You have a player come in low, and the player's athletic and goes over. You have a player come up high. You have a player athletic, shrug him off. That's fine. But when that player comes in, arms out, wrap up, drive into the ground, in most cases, that needs to be the end of the play for the offense. Now, just going through that one play, I will say the game does have a lot more balance this year. I will say there are still a couple issues that really frustrate me as a gamer. Number one, for some reason, I will lose the ability to select my player on defense during a game. I don't know why, and I can never get it back. Some of the movement pre-snap for defensive players continues to be just elongated, and you really can't get the player where you want them to be. There are, I don't want to say money plays in this game, but there are plays that you can trust enough to make personnel adjustments, subbing out your halfback, for example, where you can be fairly confident within 4 plays you can get a first down. And they've generally been the tosses and the sweeps. Now, games in the past have addressed this by kind of slowing the way that the running back gets out into open field, and maybe that's something Axis can look into, because it seems like they have taken that step when it comes to quarterbacks moving in and out of the pocket. They tend to be very slow once they get upfield, and that's kind of helped curtail quarterbacks scrambling around doing whatever they would like, and force the player to either have a scrambling quarterback with speed or be a more conventional pocket passer. With that in mind, quarterback fumbles, at least for me, unless we're doing the Matt Ryan simulator, seem to be very, very much up this year from any other game I've played. So Danny and the team over at Axis have always been very, very receptive. I'm happy that more and more people seem to be playing the game this year. And I do just want to take a minute, though, to say that we are going on our 3rd, if not 4th year on consoles. And I think a lot of people did expect this game to just make more strides from 1 year to the next, more now that we look at it going into multiple years into the product. And some of the gameplay does just really feel the same, to the point that it's frustrating as a gamer when you look at the entire space and say, okay, well, if game A is kind of feeling repetitive 1 year to the next, game B shouldn't feel repetitive 1 year to the next. But I will also offer a caveat to that is, Axis has always done everything they can to listen to the community within their means. Goes right back to when they put commentary in the game, right? A lot of people didn't want commentary in the game. They wanted things to be focused on outside of that. And in time, those things ultimately, like franchise mode, did get focused on. But when you look at the fact that they went out, they got the 2K commentator that everyone loved, everyone wanted. They didn't have to do that. They generally try to do the things they can do right, and in most cases, it translates over to the game very well. The franchise mode in this game, I will continue to say, is one of the best football experiences you can find on a console. The gameplay has just not been there to match it. If you go back a couple years ago, I actually did a complete series that went through numbers of seasons with this game because the franchise mode is just that good. If the gameplay was there to back it up, you really have a game that would contend for somebody that wants to sit down and play a football game, this being the game. And that's a pretty bold statement, but the reality is, when you look at what the franchise mode has to offer, it has a lot of the things you want in a franchise mode, to the point that they'd probably almost be better off getting rid of gameplay and just making a more detailed Football Manager and see how that worked. But they've continued to sit here and progress and work on gameplay to the point that I can't simply dismiss the fact that they are trying to make a first-person playable football game, when by all accounts, perhaps the path of least resistance would be to just make a Football Manager and maybe even have the only Football Manager on consoles. It's a huge task to make a football game. In my opinion, they've done a fairly credible job up until this point, but they also do have competitors coming into the marketplace that, unfortunately, probably have larger budgets, larger teams, and would like to take market share away from what Axis is building. So in many cases, whether somebody's had their first experience with Axis football or not, they may be coming up to that point where they only watch a creator play the game. They only have the ability to play one of the games, and then they don't go back because there are other games in the market. And that's frustrating because, like I said, I've seen Axis really try to do right by the community, and it is finally starting to show up in the product on the field, but you do have to worry, in all sincerity, is it just going to be too little too late for this franchise? Now, with that said, I've always had a great relationship with these developers. I know they continue to press and work forward, and they want to make a good football game, and they've made huge strides. This was a 2D game, like a top of the field down 10-yard fight-esque game just a handful of years ago. But obviously, like I said, there's a lot of different competitors in the marketplace that are putting out games. However, you know, Axis is also trying to expand that same way. There's a mobile version that is almost a companion to this game that's available for free. The updates to this game, I believe we're already on our third update, which again goes back to my initial point of a game that is very receptive to the community. You just hope that you continue to see it take larger steps from one year to the next. And as I said, just in one play, there's a couple things you can point out where fundamentally a little tweak here and a little tweak here, and we're not stopping the play to say, okay, this pursuit angle needs to be adjusted, this player reaction needs to be different, but overall, the play seemed to be relatively well. With that in mind, I did want to let you guys know, from an entertainment standpoint of these videos, I went back, I got my ClipDraw account open again, so this will probably be one of the last videos, hopefully you see kind of cited that way. I have to kind of redo the way my office is to go back to a prior way of recording things, so those videos can be done, but I'll go ahead and hopefully knock that out over the weekend, and you guys can get a little bit more entertainment from these videos, whether it's going to be a baseball breakdown, a football breakdown, or maybe even something else coming to my channel. With that said, I appreciate you guys sitting through a rather long video. You know I will be back in the week with more commentary.